Hey guys, it's Car from Enchanted Vines, and I wanted to come on today to give you a little secret about how to take smush flowers or flowers that just aren't shipped properly and how to make them nice and new again, okay? So these are from Amazon. Never really my first choice of where I would get flowers. However, these particular flowers are very popular. When they are all zhuzhed up, they look beautiful. And so these are one of the few flowers that I recommend getting on Amazon, but only if you're going to take the steps to, make them nice again. Okay, so this is how they're packaged. Very smushed. Okay. They come like this, zip tied. And so we're gonna undo the zip tie and let's see what we're working with here. So these are supposed to be peonies, okay? And the foliage here is not looking so hot. It has these black pieces of plastic that look unnatural. And so in general, like, this girl needs a steam bath, okay? So what I do when I get these flowers is they have to all be steamed, and not just the heads, but the foliage. And then I always snip off these really artificial parts. So I'm gonna start by doing that. Now I will say that there are, I think I linked maybe like 6 different companies that sell this flower or this bush. They're all exactly the same. Any company that I linked is one that I've actually purchased from in the past. So sometimes I've jumped because one doesn't have the same, color florals that I'm looking for. And these come in a million different colors, so you could use these all year round. They look beautiful on a wreath, in an arrangement, and they photograph really, really well. So your customers will love them. All right, so I'm just gonna start by clipping these off. Right now I've got my steamer going behind me. She is small, but she is mighty. She doesn't hold a ton of water, but I think if you're just using it for florals, then I think it's totally sufficient. I mean, I think it was like $25 or something. All right, so let's start with this bloom, okay? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're getting the foliage. And I'm kind of going in different directions because this is bent in all different directions. Because I like the color of the foliage, but you can't have wrinkled foliage. So. And of course you got to watch your hands because this is hot. Okay, just going to spin this around. Both sides. All right, and already big improvement, okay? Not smushed. So I'm just gonna put this one to the side and on to the next. So another good thing about these bushes is that they come with a few little accents. So they have a couple peony buds, and then they have a few like really small pieces of hydrangea. So that's a nice little effect that you can add throughout your wreath. So, I mean, I think there is value. I'm not trying to like totally trash these because a lot of people use them. It's just a matter of making sure that, you take the steps so that they look like professional when you use them. Okay. Now this plastic on this one, I don't mind. It doesn't stand out. Like the other one was almost like black. So there's nothing natural about that. So, all right. And if you're watching this on a replay, let me know. I like to just know where people are watching from. We had a couple people from the UK and Ireland the other day, and I don't know. I mean, obviously I know the internet, things go everywhere, but I just think it's exciting to know that somebody, in Europe is watching one of my videos. So I always appreciate it. And also where people are watching from all over the country. I'm here in New Hampshire. It is chilly today. It's about 30 degrees. I'm sure it's worse in other parts. So it's just a little slick outside because we had snow the other day. All right, there we go. And I also use steaming if You've seen how I store my wreaths that are like waiting to be sold. I put them in plastic recycling bags. So I try and do it as loosely as possible, but if you have a wreath with like a lot of depth, there is a good chance that it is going to get a little bit smushed. So what I like to do is I like to always go over everything one more time before it ships out the door, because, you know, what if I didn't put a hook on, or what if I, you know, didn't secure the bow, like whatever it is, I just need to do a once over. And part of that oftentimes is going and steaming with my own wreaths that I use in my, like for my own home. At the end of every season, I take a hair dryer to it to get off any like dust or debris that it could have collected being on my front door, because it's not covered. And then I follow up with steaming it. And then after steaming it, I apply the UV spray. And that's how I have wreaths that last for years, not for seasons. And it's good to, like really, it's good to share this information with your clients too. I think they appreciate it. It helps them know that, you know, you're an expert in your field. I know we've been talking about that a little bit lately. We have some people who are watching that are kind of on the cusp, I think, of opening their Etsy shops. And I'm getting really excited, and I'm going to be looking for some updates. Some folks have been asking about how they can get wholesale, which is you can get wholesale once you register with the IRS for an employer ID number. It's called an EIN. Whenever you go to shop with a wholesaler, that's the first question that they're gonna ask, is they need it. It's like the social security number for your business. So I don't think it costs anything. It's been so long, but like I'm just about to my 6-year anniversary. I don't think it costs anything though. But again, I'm not a tax expert. I have put the IRS link if somebody has asked, you know, where to find it. But like that's as far as my tax knowledge goes. It's just forwarding the website and making sure it's actually the IRS, not, you know, all the things that pop up first on Google. Okay. Let's see. Hey Connie, how are you? We are steaming some florals right now. They came in looking like a hot mess, and we are making them beautiful. So these are peonies, but these came from Amazon. And so this is how they show up, and they consistently show up like this. They come in a very tight plastic bag. And so if you want to use these, if anybody wants to use them, I just encourage that they take a few minutes to steam them, because you can steam them back into shape and they look beautiful, but you don't want all those like smushed blooms. It just makes it look really artificial. So these are linked on Amazon, and I want to say they're maybe $15 a bush, and they come in every single color for every single season. Okay. So what I figured is, because I'm spending time doing this, I already prepped my wreath. I cleaned the front and the back. I put the hook on it so that we can kind of just dive in. I know that I've had a few people who are in the beginning stages or earlier stages of wreath making. What I figured was I might not do it live. I might just do like a step-by-step video that you can watch at your own pace. And that way I can make sure my head's not in the way. I know this is like an ongoing issue with me. I am buying some other, you know, setup things to hopefully prevent that, but sometimes my head's going to be in the way. It's attached to the body that I'm using to make the wreath. But I do hear the feedback, and I appreciate it. All right, so she's actually she's got so little coming out, so I think that she needs more water. I just gotta find some. All right, and if you've already been using this and you have to open it, it is hot. I would recommend like letting it cool down, because obviously the water inside is like boiling. For you folks though, I'm willing to risk it all. I'm going in when it's hot, but be very cautious always. So it's going to take a minute for this to start to steam again. Okay, and we are down to our last couple florals. But, I mean, looking at this versus that, what do you think your customer is going to want? This is sad. Very sad. All right. So that's just going to get steaming again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a wreath with these. And this is like one of those bushes that I just use as a pattern. So I'll show you what the pattern is that I use them for, okay? So we're going to be making a crescent wreath. A crescent wreath is a one-sided wreath, and if you think about a crescent moon, it's that same shape. And I love doing the crescent wreaths. They just come together very easily. I also like doing the full like cottage style wreaths. They just are a lot more time consuming for me because I want to make sure that they're really balanced. And with my OCD, I feel like it's a struggle. It's a struggle. All right. Back on track. And having these little steamers is so helpful. I don't iron or steam my clothes, but I do steam my florals when it counts. Okay, this is our last one, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of spread some of the petals out while I'm doing this because that's the shape it's supposed to be in. It shouldn't be all crushed like that. And I'm going to go at it with a few different angles, making sure that I'm getting the foliage. Yeah, I have to thank you guys. You guys have been keeping me busy. I love all the questions and the comments, so please keep them coming. I look forward to seeing them. I look forward to reading them at the end of my day and also starting my day with them. So just so you know, I read every single one of them and I appreciate it. And I think I respond to everything. If I don't, let me know. Be like, hey, wake up. Wake up, you didn't answer me. It's like I saved the very worst for last. This one is all different directions. Usually you don't have to touch them at all with your hands. All right. So our steaming is complete and our flowers are now presentable to use. Okay? A big change. Big change. So to get started, as usual, we're going to start off by doing the foundation with our ficus leaves. Maggie, I am not doing kits anymore. That was kind of a short-lived thing, but what I will say is that I'm doing a collaboration with TMI, and I haven't even opened the box yet. I want to say it's on March 5th. I'm gonna put it out there on the community page on this channel, but TMI sent me a box of goodies, and so what I figured I'll do is I'm gonna open it and just design on the spot. So I'm excited to see. So anyways, even though that's not a wreath kit, anything that's in that box, which I'm gonna try and I think I'll just be sticking to that box, you could purchase. So it's not exactly a wreath kit, but you could be buying the exact materials. I would like to know, is there like a certain place that you like to get wreath kits from? Because if so, I'd be interested in just, learning more about it and seeing, maybe it would make sense if, if I had a wreath kit and did it and that was something that you guys liked. You all can tell me. All right, so with the ficus, we're just cutting this up into 4 pieces. Cut the middle one in half. And we've got our little nubbin. And I've been using him consistently. He's been helping out. All right, so now we're gonna go over to our wreath. Let's see. And I'm going to start by setting the parameters, okay? I always start at the top corner, and then I repeat. And I do this because of OCD, but I will say it's really beneficial because then I end up with balance. So I always start up and down, and then I go side to side, and I give this a nice little bend so that we're following the curve of our wreath. Okay, I'm going to repeat. So down below, these are, everything's always super malleable. So give it a little bend. And repeat. All right. And then if it's too long, just cut it down. One here. And I'm going to put one right here. Sometimes I do the bow first and sometimes I do the greenery. So we will do the bow now. And what I did get, I thought would be helpful, is I got one of those cameras that, it just is upside down so you can see exactly how I make the bows using the Easy Bow Maker, but also the deluxe one should be here like today or tomorrow. I kind of think it's today. And I'm really excited about it. I made a whole slew of bows today, and I was like, oh, I wish I had it. Wish I had the deluxe. But okay. So this is my tried and true easy bow, okay? It's called 10 by 10, not super clever, but that's what we're working with. Okay, so because these florals are so bright, I didn't want to put a ribbon in that competed with it, so I wanted to put something a little bit more neutral. So I decided to go with this ribbon, and this stuff is beautiful. It's like all these like fern prints, very nice. All right, so what I'm gonna do is placing, I'm gonna call this the ugly side. It's the back side of our ribbon. I'm gonna lay it down on my ruler and measure 10 inches, and then I'm gonna pinch. Then I'm going to, again, put the ugly side down, measure 10 inches, and pinch. Okay, so right now, my pointer finger and my thumb are holding this together, okay? Now I'm gonna do a hard twist because I need, again, for the ugly side to be on the ruler. So hard twist, and then I lay that down, and now I'm gonna bring it up. Okay, so that was another 10 inches. I measured, and then I'm bringing it up. Now, again, I'm going to do another hard twist. Ugly side down, measure 10 inches, and come back up. And then what I like to do to get some extra tails is I'm going to do one big loop. So it's usually around, 20, 24 inches, something like that. I don't bother to measure it because I'm just going to cut it in half. So it doesn't need to be even. Okay, so here's our bow. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take this floral wire and I'm going to slide it right underneath and then flip this right upside down. All right. All right, so Jenny's Wreath Boutique on Etsy has good wreath kits. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Maggie. All right, and I've been putting all of my ribbons on floral picks just because I feel like lately they've been getting kind of like gobbled up. So my preference on this comes and goes, but right now I'm in a floral pick stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 6-inch floral pick, and I'm going to take the heavy duty wire that we just made our bow with, and I'm going to wrap this around like so. Okay, until all of the wire is attached. Then, because I like to cover up the mechanics, I'm going to use this floral tape. So floral tape is tacky, not sticky. So what you want to do is when you're putting it on here, you want to apply pressure because that is what is going to make the tape stay on. Okay. And especially if you were selling a wreath and you had, you know, maybe more than one bow on a pick, you definitely want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to like poke your customer. So this is another good way to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay. So now I am going to dip this in the glue and put this pretty much at the halfway point. And now we zhuzh up. Okay, so I'm going to take this big loop, I'm going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to dovetail each of the tails. I really do love this ribbon. I'm with you, Maggie. I want more. I think I need more of this stuff. It is really pretty. All right, so all 4 tails are getting dovetailed, which is, again, I fold this in half. Open edges are right here. And without cutting myself, I'm going to go up at an angle. And what it does is it cuts this little triangle out, and then you have this little detail at the end. And then I like to keep 2 tails going out and 2 tails staying in. And this ribbon is wired, so it's okay. It's gonna, you know, get crushed and then it's gonna come back. And as long as, you know, in the end we do the finishing touches, it'll be fine. All right. I am gonna just take the rest of this ficus and I'm just gonna cover up the grapevine base. Again, we're giving it a little bend. There we go. And we're going to use our little nubbins. They always like to be helpful. Right here. Yes, I was looking at different setups and cameras and all that stuff yesterday, and my husband found something that could be used like if I were out in the middle of the wilderness, you know, like on safari. It was way over the top. So although I appreciate his assistance, I am going to have to look again. Okay, so now we're going to go in. It's important when you have bushes that you work with that you know how many of each flower you have. So for this bush, we have, for big blooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I know automatically if I'm going to keep things balanced, we're going to have 3 up top, 3 on the bottom. And then when it comes to the accents, this is also important. So for this, we have these 2 cute little buds. And then we have 2 of these hydrangea. And then I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be, but it's just like a little accent flower. All right, so going in, we are going to start with one of our big blooms. Let's see. I'm going to dip it in my glue pan. I'm going to start right here. Okay. Now I like to alternate, so now I'm going to come down below and I'm going to repeat. I have this right here. So near the bow but not squishing it. Okay, it's pretty even. Now we're going to go back up top. This in. So to do this pattern, It's pretty basic, but if you saw when we did the Easter wreath, I was a little bit stumped, and patterns are what pulled me through it. So you take your initial bush or your floral and you put those in a pattern, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then when you go to look to see where it's lacking, like it's going to spell it out for you. So even if you don't know in the moment, like now I see, okay, I have like here, here, here. Those are all areas that are now like jumping out at me. All right, like this. Okay, and then I always like to do like cute groupings when the opportunity presents itself. So we're gonna take this little bloom, this little bud, and I'm gonna group it. Make sure it's separate enough so that we can actually see that little detail. Same thing up here. Group it, but give it a little space. And now we're gonna go in with, I was thinking these hydrangeas would look pretty. Okay, so these are very small hydrangea blooms. So I'm gonna clip some of these. And let's see, I'll clip 6 because we know we're peppering in. We have 6 of our peonies. This bush is from Hobby Lobby, and I like it because, one, I mean, the flowers are beautiful and I love the color, but also I love when bushes have like these extra details to them. I always find that to be very helpful because it's like getting everything all in one, getting your texture and your flowers. All right, so cut those 6 off. I'm gonna snip off these texture pieces. And I'll just put them aside for now, and we'll find a fun way to use them. It even has some like ivy to it. Okay. Now we're gonna go in, looking at our pattern. We're gonna say, okay, starting at the top corner, which is always my sweet spot. Go in and put this right here. Again, leaving space. Then this foliage is gonna be in the way, so I'm just gonna pull this off. If there's something on a stem that doesn't serve you, I would just pull it off. It's, you know, no one wants to waste, but at the same time, it's going to make it harder to get it through the grapevine, and it's really not going to add anything to it. So now for this piece on the end, with the way everything's spaced out, I'm going to leave the foliage on. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go below and repeat. Whenever I'm working on the lower half of the grapevine wreath, whenever I can, and it's not, sometimes it's too hard to do it, but I like to have the stems slide upward. But okay, this isn't, that's a good example of when it doesn't make sense, because then this flower is not falling the way I want it to. But normally I like to do it sliding them upward because I feel like they're more likely to stay caught in the grapevine. So in addition to gluing, we also have just the grapevine holding it itself. I'm assuming that's why grapevines were ever used, is because they just snag onto everything. Like, I can't even count how many pieces of clothing I have ruined because grapevine has just pulled at it. All right, and then we have one more. And again, I'm leaving the little piece of foliage on. So, and what are we thinking so far? Now, just taking a step back, I could not see where I was standing that this is totally not in the right place. Okay, so it just needs a little bend, but it just shows about like the power of like having a good perspective. Okay, so here, and then right here also is lacking, so we'll keep that on our radar. And let's go in with our other pink accents. Now I have these begonia bushes, and I love these. These are from Pioneer, and they're a little short, but there's just enough. But I always make sure I cut them as far down as I can go, otherwise they're too short. So I cut these. And I feel like these are on sale often, or at least they were when I purchased them. So these have a lot of detail to them. They're variegated. They've got that little pop of pink, and that's why we're using this when we talk about how we plant our greenery. You know, it all starts with the florals. So for this, we wanted to use, you know, this more vibrant greenery as opposed to like the blue-based or like soft greenery. And so from there, we're just continuing to use other similar shades of the same green. Okay. I am going to start in by my bow. I like to have something that goes on either side of the bow and then just something behind it. I don't want it too heavy because I want the bow to have that airy look to it. And if we shove like stuff really close to it, it's going to lose that effect. So I'm going to be putting one of these around basically each point of our bow. This is too long. Try that again, shall we? All right, and another benefit of this is it's going to keep your tails in the direction that you want because it's separating them. So I'm also going to do the same towards the inside of the bow. With this going upward. That looks so pretty together, I think. And then I'm going to repeat right here, creating that little bit of separation. And then let's go through and just start evenly distributing this. Go top corner, the bottom corner, and then I like things that are crawling. I think that gives it like a natural look. So I like taking a piece of greenery and actually like having it creep into the wreath. So let's do that. I especially love that for cottage wreaths. I think it makes them much more realistic looking. Back up top, this top corner. Give this a little bend. We want to have things with movement. I'm going to repeat that down below. And we've got a couple pieces left. And the last one will go right here. Okay, now we also have these accent flowers. So let's go in and place these. So let's see, where do we feel like we need that pop of pink? I think it could look nice right here. This color is just so vibrant that I like to try and space it out. And again, we're letting the bow take the back seat to these florals because they're so bright. Okay, two more. Let's see. There. And mirror that right here. What are we thinking of this wreath so far? I would love to know. Let's see. All right, and we're going to find a few other accent greens that we're going to be plugging in. All right, I'm just trying to refresh the comments. Okay. Yeah, Maggie agrees about taking a step back, and then she was just discussing if the bow is too small. I kind of think it must be like preference, because I feel like sometimes I like a big bow and then sometimes I don't. So, and sometimes I don't do bows at all. So, I mean, I think it's personal preference. Like, I don't know if your designs tend to have like big bows. You know, there's really no wrong answer. All right, let's go in with our ruscus. Okay. And again, what can separate a manufactured looking wreath from one that looks truly handcrafted, it's all in the details, and to me that's all texture. Okay, so this ruscus, you can slide it up. You don't want to slide it up too hard that you actually like pop it off the head, but you want to push it up enough so that it's all going to be, seen, and it's going to stay nice and airy and natural looking. I have been burning through this ruscus. It just works with everything. So. All right, now we're just going to trim this. Okay, and let's take like a big step back. So I would use your critical eye, and you don't have to answer me, but even just as an exercise to see like what doesn't look balanced. And this is a very big part that has been ignored. Okay. And then also, this just seems so much more full than down here. And some of that might just be how we have the flowers pointed. But we want to make sure that it matches each other. Okay, so some of that might be with the greenery and the ficus, and some of it might just be how the flowers are positioned. But this area is quite sad. So put the tan in here for now. And so since we know this area is hurting, let's start our ruscus there. We want to make sure we're filling but not doing like this super tight use of materials. I feel like that's like stressful. Looks like stress designing. Had a rough day and you're just like, Happy light wreaths. It's like Bob Ross, happy little trees. Okay. start below just because while I've noticed that this is an area that is lacking, I want to just make sure I tackle it and don't miss it again. And always something nicely trailing off. And these ruscus are plastic. This is an example of what I consider nice looking plastic foliage. But because it's plastic, it definitely needs some extra TLC, and that happens when you do the Krylon spray. So I wouldn't hesitate to go over it more than once, let it dry, and then go back to it, because plastic greenery turns blue pretty quickly. Okay, give that a bend. Got that nice cascading element. Okay, taking a step back. Some holes right here. When I do my in-person workshops, I usually have people work on a flat surface at first, and then when it's time to like zhuzh it up, I usually have people take like just those really inexpensive easels. I think they're used for like monument things. You know, they're like $4 or something like that. So I bring enough for everybody, and I have them then stand their wreath up, and it's amazing how much like they see that needs to be changed when you swap around your perspective. All right, I feel like we need a little bit more ficus. Because right here, we're losing that point, and same here. Snip those. I did get a couple of requests to talk about workshop prep. So next week is my first workshop, so I figured what I'll do is go over it then when like I actually need to do it. So usually I like to get it started a couple days in advance, and then sometimes I procrastinate and then I'm just like a nut the day of, but for the most part I get it done in advance. If I don't, I regret it. Alright, so we have a few other things. We have this bead fern. And I think I'm just going to use this sparingly just to create a few points. Oh yeah, I love that. I love some flare. Gives it that whimsical feel, I think. I like to put foliage, it's kind of like a little bit of a disruptor. So it's coming in between the flowers, growing wild. Love that. Does anybody have like their favorite greenery? Like ficus is definitely my favorite for like fundamentals, but as far as like what is like the prettiest greenery that you use that you like, I would like to know. All right, so I just slid that one of these hard, so I just popped the head off of it, and when they're in all these pieces like this, I find they're kind of hard to put back together stably, so I'm gonna have to toss that one. These are so spiky, they can be a little bit too much, I think. So I really just like to use them sparingly so that they're not taking up too much of the attention. And then we have a couple pieces of textured items. So these are part of what was on the bush from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so we've got these little seeded things. Always make sure the stickers are off because stickers don't grow in nature. All right, and let's decide how we want to use this. All right. I'm going to start top corner. And I'm sure you guys are so sick of me saying that, but it really is muscle memory. It's just, I'm not even saying it like on purpose. It's just where it's always going to start. Go down and repeat. Okay. Another one. And I'm going to one right here. Sorry, I know I'm blocking right now. And put this one up top as well. Got too many things coming out this bloom. All right. Don't want to crush our blooms. Then we have these two berries. I'm thinking they're berries. And we'll do top and bottom corner. So yes, next week, I think it's Tuesday, we are going to be doing a collaboration with TMI Gifts, which I love TMI. I started using them this year for my ribbon, and I found a bunch of really, really cute designs. So this will be fun to use more of their materials. And I thought, I love these. These are like very green pussy willows. So I'm going to snip this off. I just love the color of these. Pretty sure these are a Michael's purchase. So I want to give them a prominent place. Give it a nice little bend. Repeat down below. Actually, this one's short. Let me get a taller one. Add them to our cascading waterfalling texture here. That looks really, really nice. Well, if I do say so myself. I do like the look of that. Right now we're just going to do some minor things. Again, taking a big step back. This is neglected. And I feel like this is partially because I'm trying to keep my head out of the way. I can't like see it. Not making excuses. I know that my head gets in the way. So it's definitely a lot easier when you're working head on your easel. And I do love my easel. I've had a bunch of questions. I always find them in the clearance section of Home Goods or Home Sense, and I think they're made to hold artwork. So my friend Brian, who's an engineer, he's taken this and he's like souped it up so that I have a nice shelf for my tools. Same thing with I have a special easel for when I do my in-person workshops because it folds up very easily for like going in the car. And he also souped that one up, so always befriend a nerd. And if there is anything that you guys would like to see, let me know. We can do a video that's fast. We can do one that's like more at a slower pace. You let me know, because that's how I can be most helpful, is if I know where you're at. You know, and I know if you're not a beginner, you probably don't want to listen to me do some of the more basic steps in the beginning, and I get that. So again, that's just helpful information. Okay, I'm going to trim this tail, and then just unbury these tails. Okay, sometimes if a tail's too long, it ends up just not falling the way I want, so I'm going to cut this so that it's at this angle. All right, so it's interesting to know that we took these Amazon flowers that are so smushed, so crushed, and we made this beautiful wreath by applying steam to those florals and their greens. And now we're left with this beautiful lifelike wreath. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like going crazy for magenta. I like can't stop right now. I need to move on, but I'm just having a hard time. So anyways, so I'm gonna do final steps of cleaning this off, putting the moss on the back, and then of course the Krylon UV spray. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thanks again, guys. You've been very, very good to me this week, and I really do appreciate it.